Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2022. It is Thursday. It is July 28th, and fresh off another trip to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe is one Alex Kozora, who got a little bit wet today. I hope you brought a towel, Alex. Happy Thursday to you.
I should have. I didn't. And yeah, it was, I'm still drying off, I think. It was pretty bad, but at least for the actual portion of practice during team drills and all that, the Steelers had, clear skies overall, or at least not rainy skies. It was cloudy, but regardless of the weather report, team on the turf field today. So kind of a different feel, lower key feel, but still plenty to talk about.
All right, and we will do that. Shout out real quick to Lynn Testa at Touring Plans on Twitter, touringplans.com for all your, especially Disney needs. It's kind of like an online travel agency, if you will. Whatever you need to do, if you're going anywhere, you're taking vacation somewhere, make sure to hit up Touring Plans, especially if you're going to go to Disney, because I think that's what Lynn and the guys over there specialize in. But been a sponsor of the Terrible Podcast for numerous years now, so make sure you're supporting those who support us, and that would definitely be the case if you're going to touringplans.com. So shout out to Lynn Testa there at the top of the show there. So Alex, we said you got a little bit wet today there, a pretty good downpour, and it caused them, I think, to practice a little ways away from you there overall. I'm guessing you had to pull out the binoculars today, right?
I did. Still saw the bulk of action, but occasionally some sight lines were obscured. Have to give credit to Tim Rice as well. He was down right next to the field there with the camera, and he has some incredible shots. I know you'll put together, I think, the daily photo post later tonight, but there's some shots on Twitter, some included, I think, in some of the articles. So his photography is always fantastic, and we're really lucky to have him.
Absolutely. Shout out to Tim Rice there. Okay. Where do you want to start? A little bit of housekeeping first?
Sure. Injury report. Not a whole lot to note here. I know Mike Tomlin said in terms of injuries today, one minor one involving tight end Pat Freiermuth, who has some tightness. I think Mike Tomlin was the phrase he used to describe that, but sounds really minor overall. Miles Killebrew did not practice today with the pec injury suffered on Wednesday. His spirits, whatever that's worth, seemed pretty high. There was no sling or any sort of obvious issue and discomfort with him. He seemed smiling and happy and talking with Danny Smith. TD Moultrie did have his helmet in hand. I didn't physically see him in team drills today. I might have just missed him, but I assume that's pretty minor there. Larry Ogunjobi working at individual, not team. Same with Deontay Johnson, Mika Fitzpatrick, and Tyson Alualu still on NFI and PUP.
All right, and I think Bob Labriola at the bottom of his report said something about Moultrie did practice. To what degree, I don't know there, but good that there's nothing serious there. And I think Dr. Mel put something on Twitter that it's probably a good sign that Killebrew was at training camp and not back in Pittsburgh
right.
with that pec injury there. So hopefully that's not serious, and hopefully the stiffness with Pat Freiermuth. Mike Tomlin saying, it's hard to read in between the lines on some of this, but it kind of sounds like that they're going to, take it. No reason to rush Pat Freiermuth back if he's on, if he's stiff there. So who knows? Maybe he'll be back on Friday. Maybe he won't. But so far, so good, I guess, as they would say overall.
Killebrew was healthy enough to give Danny Smith a high five with his right hand, right side. So I don't know what side of the pec injury is, but that's my in-depth injury analysis, the high five, reading into it all.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kozora.
The world's worst doctor. I work out of a back alley behind the Wendy's. Come on by.
Hey, I've used those guys too. Oh, different. Okay.
Yeah, different thing.
A different doctor. Okay. Let's see. Let's start with the offensive line. Had a little bit of a shakeup, I think, and this is probably Mike Tomlin throwing out the one bone for the two dogs there. I believe Kendrick Green was the first team left guard today and not Kevin Dotson, correct?
He was. There might have been some more rotation later in team sessions where Dotson ran ahead first team, but this to me just seems to be very planned, calculated rotation at that left guard spot. Really the only true battle along the starting offensive line, Morby at left tackle, Cole at center, Daniels right guard, or Core right tackle. It's really a question of Green or Dotson at left guard. I still think it'll be Kevin Dotson, but there is a competition, a rotation there, and this may happen every other day where it's someone else running first team until maybe someone emerges following a preseason game or something like that. But I imagine this is all planned from before camp even began.
I would imagine that as well, too, there. And in the meantime, it is going to be interesting to watch this play. I think Kendrick Green was on record today as saying that he did not enjoy playing center.
We could have guessed that. It seemed pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think you and I had that figured out by about week 6, if not a little bit sooner there. And in so many words, I think he says he doesn't want to go back there. So to me now at this point, he's a third string at best center right now, I would think.
And I thought entering camp, Hossenauer would be the backup because he was better, I think more comfortable. And Hossenauer is not a great guard. He's best at center. So for sure, Green is like emergency center. Hossenauer is going to be the number 2.
So probably music to Hossenauer's ears. Yeah, buddy, just stay over there at left guard there. It's going to be interesting to watch this thing play out. As I've said on a recent Terrible Take as well too. And we've talked about on the podcast, it's going to be disappointing, at least in my eyes, if Kevin Dotson does not win that job. How are the line? Did you go over the rest of the lines there?
First team was, same besides the left guard spot, Moore, Green, Cole, Daniels, the core for second team, Scott, Dotson, Hossenauer, LeGlue, Haig. I think Jordan Tucker was playing some left tackle today. Third team, he was playing right tackle yesterday. He's done both in North Carolina, so kind of showing off some of that versatility there. Not a whole lot to note in terms of their performance. Again, it's tough to do given the conditions today, and then certainly not being in pads and limited contact. I think just the overall fundamentals of the offensive line's been impressive. No false starts, no obvious, where someone's screwing something up. Again, the exchanges and today with a wet football, no issues with center exchanges and shotgun snaps or under center snaps. And so I know those are things that are very easy to forget about and overlook, but with a young group with new faces, new offensive line coach and Pat Meyer, it seems to be pretty clean for the offensive line, which is a good start.
I tell you, the other thing, and I'm knocking on some wood, and knocking on my wood desk here is, we talked about this heading into camp and kind of the differences going back to last year and how the starting 5, it seemed like, forever for them to get, a group to have some continuity together there. And then this year, look, you got 2 new guys on there in obviously in Mason Cole and James Daniels. It's important that these 5, and obviously we'll see what transpires with Dotson and Green, but I have a feeling that we'll start seeing some separation, possibly one way or the other there, get it about halfway into camp there. But it's very important that these 5 can maybe stay on the field as long as possible, because that's certainly something that didn't take place last year at Heinz Field.
How long did it take last year? I was almost towards the end of camp,
I thought
when
so,
they actually
wasn't
got
it?
together. When Banner came back.
Yeah. And then obviously Banner, played in the one preseason game, then he was gone.
And even whenever Banner came back, he wasn't in the full contact run sessions. They would take him out to kind of ease him back in. So really that group essentially never got to work together as a full 100% unit. And they've been doing that the first 2 days, which is a big turnaround, as you said.
And hopefully we didn't just jinx this, because if someone goes down, they're going to be hollering at us. But you saw what happened in Tampa Bay today with Ryan Jensen. What a big loss, man. And don't know the seriousness of that. And obviously this isn't Buccaneers Depot here, but just goes to show you. And we make sure to talk a lot of time on the podcast. So much can happen from the time a team reports to a training camp until they get to week 1 there. All right. They work on anything particular with the offensive line, maybe out of character or anything?
Nothing too out of character. I saw in some of the positional drills and sessions working on inside zone and just zone blocking in general, which, has happened under all the other offensive line coaches. I did see Pat Meyer at one point bring the entire offensive line together early on in a circle to talk about something. It was a little hard to see, looked like something in pass protection with his footwork. I'm sure probably teaching the flatter sets you're going to have this year, especially from the guards, and being more aggressive and more physical and making that, quote, first significant contact, which is the, ideology that Pat Meyer lives by. And so to see everyone come together in that moment as Meyer's going over stuff, it'd be a bit more of that teacher than let's rep it out and make some mistakes. They'll try to get it right the first time, seems to be what Meyer wants to try to do.
All right, I want to save quarterback on the offensive side for last here. So where do you want to go now? You want to go wide receiver?
Sure, we can go wide receiver. Let me just check my notes here. Maybe nothing incredibly, important sticking out today. Gunnar Olszewski showing some wheels, though, 7-on-7, separated from a corner. It is just 7-on-7, but, showed some wheels there and trying to make some plays downfield. Miles Boykin, a little more active today. I talked about trying to find him, make sure he was out there, and he was. Again, first team wide receivers, Chase Claypool, George Pickens, and Cody White. I'll say with Pickens, I kind of wondered would there be an easing in with him a little bit just because he's 21, barely played last year. I mean, he's been first team, getting a ton of reps early. Not sure if he's made a lot of actual plays in terms of completing the catch. He's had some, close calls yesterday, not too much today, but certainly getting a lot of action. And then Cody White again running first team with Deontay Johnson with his hold in, and you just saw the DK Metcalf deal, and that makes everything even more uncertain.
All right, Pickens mostly been Z.
Yeah, he's been mostly outside. Claypool, White, kind of more in the slot in those 11 personnel groupings. So that seems to be where they want to start Pickens off, as more the outside type receiver.
All right, and any X in there? Who's been the X mostly?
Sometimes I'm looking more at just the slot, and today was a little tougher to see, so I don't want to say definitively who's been the X and Z. And sometimes if it's 12 personnel, but it's a two receiver set, then what do you want to consider their strong side? But I'll just more broadly say Pickens on the outside. Claypool is mixed and matched, but certainly seen his fair share of work in the slot.
Okay, good info there. Anybody down further down the roster? Miller, any of those guys sticking out?
Yeah, Miller saw, he's getting a lot of targets there in the slot. Saw some slot work from Anthony Miller today. Beyond that, Tyler Vaughn's had a touchdown in 7-on-7. I think Pickens and Miller did as well. In 7 shots, I should say, not 7-on-7. But maybe no crazy notable plays from the receiver group overall today. I don't think there was anything that stuck out, dramatically.
All right. What about the running back position?
Yeah, still not a whole lot there. It's so tough to judge these guys. I will say the one thing, and I think I saw your quote tweet when I was at practice with the bingo of the pony backfield. Just one snap today. Jeremy McNichols deep in the backfield. McFarland, the motion man, coming across, taking a jet handoff. We'll see if that's going to be something going forward. I mean, at some point, either you're going to use it or you don't. That's the subject of my terrible take for tomorrow. Is either make pony a thing or don't, and just make a decision and pick a lane on that one. So the first look at it, though, in camp was today.
How was the rotation at the running back position? Has it been pretty standard, and where who fits in where?
Yeah, I mean, 2 days in, Harris obviously won. Then I would say Snell, and then McFarland, and then McNichols, and then Warren Durant. Loosely is how I would kind of set a depth chart on that.
Okay, and obviously we won't get a better feel for that stuff until the pads come on and they start thumping around a little bit there. Tight end position.
Let's see. Tight end Zach Gentry had an eventful 7 shots, had one in his hands, and I don't think it was Tevin Bush that knocked it out. I think it was somebody else, but Bush ended up picking it off and finishing the play. But Gentry came back later and caught a touchdown during that time. Beyond that, with Freiermuth not working, Sternberg is getting some looks. I'm not really seeing a whole lot there. Connor Hayward working on special teams as both a wing on the field goal kick team and then on the punt team as well in terms of the punt protect unit. So Connor Hayward trying to wear all those hats on special teams, which is really going to be his primary path to the roster.
They doing a lot, any with Watt in the backfield as a fullback?
Yeah, they're still using Watt in the backfield as a traditional fullback. He actually was also sidecar to, I think it was 7 shots to Mitch Trubisky today on 1 rep, and you're never going to see that in the game, so I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. But a little bit of strong eye and just traditional fullback usage there. Okay,
quarterback position. A lot of angry folks. The overreactions. Not that Steeler fans overreact much, but they're long and short of it, Kenny Pickett didn't have a super great day, did he?
No, it's a day to forget. And I almost tweeted that out, and it was not a good day for Kenny Pickett, but I don't want everyone to come with pitchforks and torches about 2 days in on Pickett. But if you wipe the slate clean and you just were an outsider and just got to camp, knew nothing about the quarterbacks on the Steelers roster, you would say Mason Rudolph is the best guy so far. Now, does that mean Rudolph has been great? No, he has not been. He threw an interception today, or a should-be interception that was just simply dropped by Justin Lane in 7 shots. But the deep ball, the consistency, the overall ability to push the ball down the field, the best I've seen from any of these 3 quarterbacks has been from Mason Rudolph. But Pickett had an interception on a really bad throw that was low behind Boykin, picked off by Chris Steele, a deep ball to Tyler Vaughn that seemed to hang a little bit. Vaughn had to really wait for it. Couldn't finish the play on that one. Another deep ball from Pickett left side that just kind of landed between a couple of Steelers who were generally in the area, but no one with a chance to make a play on the football. I think a day that Kenny Pickett's going to turn the page on and try to be a whole lot better on Friday.
Okay, what have you liked and not liked about Mitch Trubisky so far? 2 days in, and it's important, like you said in the terrible take before they reported, it's important to let this process be the process, but it's still not going to stop us from talking about the position after every practice, but what have you liked and not liked in just a brief amount of time that you've seen him out there?
Sure. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with us talking about it. It's just how much do you want to conclude from it is where you want to pump the brakes. I know that we're going to, let this whole process kind of at least, camp reveal itself and then kind of go from there. I think with the quarterbacks in general, Trubisky, today threw I think 2 interceptions, but just generally being smart with the football, throwing on the run overall, again, managing the offense, managing motions because they mix and match guys. So you might have a Jay Sternberger that might not exactly know the whole playbook or when he's supposed to motion. And, you got Trubisky, other quarterbacks kind of directing traffic there as well. And then again, just being clean with the football, clean on exchanges, on receiver jet runs, on handoffs to the running back, on snaps from under center and shotgun. So nothing has really stuck out in like a singular point. This is the one thing I love that Trubisky's done. But overall, it's just, I think, been pretty clean.
Okay. And give us a positive for Kenny Pickett for these past 2 days.
I think whenever Pickett is on the move and is, if there's pressure and obviously these guys can't get hit, so it's a little bit different, but he does a really good job of keeping his eyes downfield. And I know that was evident on his pit tape, but this is a guy that certainly has the ability to run and can tuck and run. But there was a play yesterday where he ended up tucking and running. Doug Costin chased him, but he has his eyes downfield the entire way. He's really searching for something, trying to find somebody available. And I think it's going to be one of those things where you're going to see a real big broken play during, whenever Pickett gets action, preseason, regular season, whenever, and you're going to see a defender eventually commit to Pickett on what looks like a chance where he should be running, and then he just kind of floats it over the top and hits a tight end or a running back or somebody for a big gain. So Pickett's ability to move and leave the pocket while wanting to throw downfield, not have that instinct of let's run right away, to me is a nice first step.
Let me check notes here. You and Chris Oladokin have 0 interceptions so far.
And so do you. And also 0 reps so far. The issue there with Oladokin.
You said that was going to be an issue. Mike Tomlin sure likes to try to paint the barn red, doesn't he? Sometimes tries to color things in and make things sound all right. But I didn't even have to take my shoes off to kind of figure out that, without Ben Roethlisberger in camp, it was going to be a struggle to kind of get Oladokin snaps, and so far none. Right.
He would love to throw an interception because that means he took a snap. He had a chance. Not even in 7-on-7, at least not today. And I'm pretty sure he didn't do anything in 7-on-7 yesterday. I have a clip on my YouTube channel of just the quarterbacks going through some of the on-air, very early drills. And Oladokin does not even have his helmet on because he knows I'm not going to need it. There's no need to have it on, I guess. So 0 reps 2 days in. That could change. I imagine at some point they're going to allow him to have some opportunity, but just to the overall point of reps are going to be super scarce with Chris Oladokin.
And kind of be, to be expected,
right. As it should be. I mean, you got 3 other guys, you got to figure out what you have there, who's going to start, who's playing where. Like, I get it. I'm not mad at the team for it, but that's just the reality of it.
All right. Anything else to add about the quarterback position? Just tell people again not to overreact yet. I know they won't listen to you, but.
Yeah. falls on deaf ears. Don't overreact. It is just 2 days. This is still a very much an OTA type of feel, and there are going to be good days and bad days, and it's about how much better can you get overall. I think some of the touch all the quarterbacks have shown has been nice, but Kenny Pickett, not his best football today.
How's the overall arm strength
of all of them or any of them?
Yeah, rank them in arm strength.
That's still tough for me to do because you haven't seen them let it rip a lot. It's been a lot of softer zones. You've seen some.
All right, let's table that until after a couple more practices.
Yeah, I will say it's felt like some of Pickett's have hung, and I don't. It's not always an arm strength thing. It could be being unsure of what you're seeing or some of the pressure or things like that. But I felt like some of the deep balls Pickett has thrown have kind of been a little too much loft, too much air under them.
Okay. All right. All right, defensive side of football. How about some defensive line notes? Did DeMarvin Leal carry over, string some good practices together, or did he stick out any?
Didn't stick out in a positive or negative way overall. The one defensive lineman I saw, and they only had one run session. It came pretty late today, but Doug Costin was able to knife through on a Mateo Durant run. Don't know if he beat a block or if somebody missed a block or whatever the case was there, but I saw number 64 come flash across. In terms of the overall performance, some other guys, not a lot to note overall. Chris Wormley, again, working as your base first-team left defensive end. Montravius Adams at nose tackle, Cam Hayward at right defensive end. So more Mexican matching there. Again, when the pads come on, I can watch these guys O-line, D-line, and really full contact situations. It's better to gauge some of the trench guys right now. It's a lot of just making sure you're staying on your feet and no one's getting hurt.
All right, for obviously for like non-7-on-7 stuff, about how many snaps are we talking about here?
For how many snaps overall in team? How many get in team? 12. It's 12 right now. That should go up to 15, I think, once the ramp-up period's done, so probably for Monday. But right now it's been 3 to 4 sessions of 12 plays. Okay,
and then the 7 shots on top of it?
No, the 7 shots is obviously 7, and then the rest of the team is 12. So they call it 2 or 3 sessions of 12, and then another of the 7 shots, which is obviously 7.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, that's not a lot to have to, to get an opportunity there, right?
Right. And reps are limited. And if you're running second, third team, you're maybe getting, 7, 8 snaps in a practice in terms of team, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 10. But if there's about 40 to 48 total and you're running third team, whatever, corner, linebacker, you might be getting 7 or 8. So again, that's what makes some of the evaluation tough, because you don't want to watch this one play and try to make that as a narrative for, he had one great play. That means he's doing all of this well or all of this poorly. But it really places scarcity on maximizing those reps.
All right. Now you said when they start ramping up here, a nice sunny day out there and Mike Tomlin gets to do everything that he wants to do. What's going to be the snap total?
15 per session, except for 7 shots, which is still 7. I imagine the rain isn't impacting the volume of work today. It's probably just some of the ramp up stuff because practices have just been shorter overall. But normally it's going to be 15. So look at about last year, they averaged 51 team reps. They averaged 51 reps in team drills per practice was the number 51 last year.
Okay. All right. Inside linebacker, still some mixing and matching going on there.
Yeah. Robert Spillane rotating. And Spillane had a good day. I had a breakup on, I think it was Zach Gentry in one of the team sessions, and then picked off Trubisky. And it was a kind of a seam ball passed down the middle off of play action, and Spillane found it, undercut it, and intercepted it. So Spillane making some plays. Really, this defense in general, I think the theme of overall camp first 2 days in has just been defense making plays on the football, breakups, interceptions, splash plays. Defense has really kind of ruled the day, but Spillane had some really good plays and coverage today.
All right, yesterday we were talking about Mark Robinson. Anything there today?
No, nothing that stuck out. Again, even his reps are going to be a bit limited, and there are so many inside linebackers fighting and scrapping for time right now. But Spillane was the guy who stuck out to me.
All right, what about outside linebackers? TJ Watt, they might have to sit him down so they can get some work done.
Right. What I love about Watt is literally how much work he does. Even during special team sessions, he's still working on the side, working on his pass rush moves with a coach. He was working on inside spin moves and counters today. Alex Highsmith is there as well. So just the work ethic those guys have. I should note, by the way, speaking of the inside guys, I know yesterday the big story obviously was Trey Norwood being the first team up back. I watched them work more of that today, and there was a moment where it felt like kind of the starting punt protect unit, and Marcus Allen was running first team up back with some other guys in front of him. Norwood second team, Jalen Warren third team. So Allen may still occupy that role. They might have wanted to try to use Norwood yesterday just to try a different person in case of injury. Allen doesn't make it, whatever the case is. But should note Marcus Allen may still be working up back duties this year.
Has Jannard Avery stuck out to you at all?
Not really in team. He was playing some special teams today. He was, I think, left guard on the punt protect unit. He's our skipper at right tackle on the punt protect unit. And so those guys, especially skipper, can he make any sort of special teams impact? We know he did really do that his first time around. That might have been the reason why he didn't ultimately stick on the roster. But Avery's still running second team outside linebacker, and I think it's probably your favorite right now to be that number 3 behind TJ Watt and Alex Eisman.
Okay, is he on the right outside linebacker, Avery?
Let me check. Usually I write it in my notes so I know who's on each side.
Seems like most of his work in Philly came on that right side.
Yeah, it looks like my notes are ordered correctly. It looks like probably right outside linebacker for Avery.
The Alex Kozora's Old Testament. Put that. All you need is to chisel it out on stone there, and you'd have the Kozora commandments, I guess. I don't know how you read that stuff, but my handwriting is no better. But that's just even normal handwriting. That's not trying to make any hieroglyphics or anything like that. Okay, where do we leave off? Inside, outside? How about the secondary?
Yeah, secondary, good day today. Chris Steele, undrafted rookie free agent out of USC, had an interception, and I thought contested one of the Pickett deep balls pretty well overall, and actually picked off Pickett on that interception as well. And so a little rookie-on-rookie crime there. But Steele making some plays, James Spear making some plays, had a good breakup on a deep ball left sideline from Mason. I think it was from Mason to Calvin Austin. So, I've seen Justin Lane make plays. I've seen James Pierre make plays. It's kind of, I think, both guys looking at each other going, we're both not going to make it. It's one of us, or it's me or you. And so I think both guys are stepping up and trying to, follow each other's lead because they know they're probably in competition for one spot.
Now, is Arthur Millette getting a lot more first team reps, or what in sub package, or what?
He did today, but I think, remember Tomlin yesterday talked about the rotation of the ones. And so it's maybe less about Millette getting more time as it is, they're just going to rotate Wallace and Akella Witherspoon, and that just kind of allows Millette to get some more action overall. But he did see a significant amount of first team slot corner today. Okay, so it's too early to tell if when they if the season was to start tomorrow, what their nickel would look like? Well, it's interesting because the way they're rotating it is, they won't have, generally speaking, Witherspoon and Wallace on the field at the same time. One of those guys is coming off. And so obviously you'd imagine once games start to matter, they're going to have both those guys on the field plus Cam Sutton. So not yet. Short answer is it's probably too early to tell, but the way they're doing things isn't going to be the way they do things once the season starts, making those kind of depth chart predictions a little bit tricky right now.
It's nice to hear some of those young corners making plays back-to-back days.
Right. And I know, the offense is younger and the quote unquote weaker side of the football, and they're feeling things out. But when a defense can't hit and they can't pressure the quarterback, they can't touch him, for a defense to still make plays on the football like that, I think is pretty impressive. And there were plays today where the defense didn't physically have a batted ball or an interception, but there were some really good coverage plays where the quarterbacks had to bail and go through full field reads and try to come back to their primary progression. And just really held onto the football for a long time. A lot of would-be coverage sacks today. So to me, that speaks really highly of the coverage unit in general, but specifically the secondary about really providing some tight, sticky coverage.
All right. Did you hit on the safeties?
Not specifically. Again, just good team defense, good coverage overall. Carl Joseph playing some slot corner and some safety as well. DeMonte Casey still running first team. Free safety with Minkah Fitzpatrick out. That's a guy that's certainly benefiting pretty greatly from Minkah's absence right now. Is DeMonte Casey. So a guy that I wasn't sure where he would land, and it's still early in the process, and he hasn't made any quote-unquote plays yet, but Casey running first team is a good sign for him initially.
And obviously, after 2 practices, even just reading on Twitter, not even being there, it sounds like it's defense is just really outplaying the offense at this point.
By a mile, for sure. Even, I think, they did, in fact, force a fumble on Najee. It was very late at the end of a run session. It was kind of, they were all grabbing at the football, but popped it out. Cam Sutton recovered it. So defense flying around, they have been by far the better unit of the first 2 days in.
All right, special teams, you already hit on a little bit of it. Harvin boot some today?
Nope. They did. Boss did a little bit of kicking. I think Skiba as well. Once they got the tarp off on the near field, but in terms of punts, nothing there, and they were just kicking off a tee. Maybe a little bit of holding. Zalek doing a little bit of that, but nothing to note. Maybe tomorrow we'll bring some of the punting. I'm excited. I want to get some hang times on Harvard, but not yet.
All right. Before we got on, you were a little bit disappointed overall. Why don't you kind of explain why?
Yeah, just being on the far field makes it harder to see. I couldn't track yardage today, so when I do the camp stats, I'm probably gonna have to generally disregard some of the stuff here because I don't have yardage on it. It's not gonna work well overall with the numbers, but it's fine. It's just the rain. It's never good when it rains, and things are changed up a little bit. But there's still 16 more practices, so we'll get back at it tomorrow.
You're just a damn perfectionist like me, right?
A little bit.
You don't like anybody moving one of the ends, do you?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all good. Still good recap. Still check it out. A lot of information there.
All right. Overall, kind of an overarching thoughts on the second day.
Again, defense, secondary, making plays on the football, really good coverage. The quarterback's not playing great. Pickett did not have a good day overall. Like, I'm not going to freak out about it. I don't want people to freak out about it, but you can just say Pickett did not play well without having to go to the extreme of, oh my God, why is Pickett not playing well? What does that mean? It just means he didn't play well today. Tomorrow could be a great day overall. It's a long process. Again, marathon, not sprint, but just to be objective about it, ask anyone who was there, Pickett was not at his best today.
Before I get your overreaction of the day, what are you most looking forward to on Friday?
No rain. Hopefully they're calling for it. So I might not get my wish there. We'll see. It's been a little tough here to start. I don't know what I'm looking forward to because I know they're going to be still in shell. So I'm really excited to Monday when the pads come on.
Oh, I was going to ask you real quick, quick recap on 7 shots. And do you think that because Pickett was not in 7 shots, do you have a feeling that maybe Mike Tomlin's going to today? It was Mitch and Mason, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think he's going to go like every other day? And then, in other words, like on Friday, do you think it's going to be Mitch and Pickett? And then kind of rotate the 7 shots that way?
That would make sense. I think you want to see Pickett in that situational football, 3rd down, 7 shots, those kind of things, 2-minute are going to be really critical in the evaluation standpoint of your quarterback as much as you can evaluate him in a practice setting. So that would make sense. We'll see. In terms of the actual session, I have to tally exactly who came out on top. That's when Devin Bush had his interception. Norwood had a good breakup on a pass to Kevin Rader. Pickens, Miller had touchdowns. Gentry had one as well. So I want to say maybe the offense won 4-3 or 5-2, something like that. I think offense won in 7 shots.
Okay. Overreaction of the day.
Trying to think overreaction of the day. I mean, just the play some of these linebackers. Devin Bush interception, Robert Spillane interception. Like those guys making plays, capitalizing on the football. Again, the secondary and the overall pass defense today was really impressive. Again, not just because the interceptions, the obvious plays, but forcing quarterbacks to roll and run and go to checkdowns and 3rd and 4th. And you could really see these guys maybe start to feel that internal clock a little bit. So I don't know what the conclusion from that is, but just to say the pass defense was excellent today.
All right, good deal. All right, you and I will be back at it again. Let's see, on Friday when you get back, and we'll be wrapping up that practice. Hopefully it'll be a drier Alex Kozora come that time. And let's see, anything else you'd like to add before we get out of here? We already shouted out Lynn Testa from Touring Plans, right?
We did. Yeah, just want to shout out the Depot team. Really good job by them. I know it's always tough whenever I go away. I feel like I'm a little useless in terms of, getting some of the Tomlin presser and some of the other nuggets to come out. But shout out to Ken, by the way. He was at practice today. I think his first time he'd been there in a while. Hopefully he got to see it. I don't know where he ended up landing with all the rain and everything. But good crowd on hand, I thought, and a good day overall. And like you said, we'll get back after it tomorrow.
All right. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. You can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow the podcast at Terrible Podcast and email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. Alex and I will have a full version of the Terrible Podcast bright and early Friday morning. And until then, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave, this special edition of the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.